Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
Byron.
an offender at the Eastern Reception and Diagnostic Center. You may start the conversation now.
This is A Mind Unconstrained. I'm Byron Case, an imprisoned writer and poet. I just entered my 25th year of a life sentence for a murder that I didn't commit. Prison can be tough, and one of the things that's done the most to keep me going for the past 2.5 decades has been writing. I've had my creative nonfiction and poems published online and in magazines, in literary journals and anthologies, and you can find my weekly newsletter at amindunconstrained.substack.com. I like to think that a mind unconstrained means just what its title implies, that having a sentence of life without parole does not mean that I have to think or to live like a lifer. And without those mental shackles, that my mind is free to wander. And wander it does. On this week's episode, I answer an interesting question. Is it hard to watch movies about prison since you're living the real thing? So, I'm thinking about representations of prison, not just in movies, but in TV series and maybe to a lesser extent in books, because it's all media. It's all stuff that we encounter that informs how we see the world. There was this really nice lady named Susan, a mental health counselor at the jail I was held at while I was awaiting trial. She led a couple of the groups that I sat in every week, and I remember her at one point wheeling in this TV on a cart, like the kind that teachers used to bring in public schools on movie days, and saying that we were going to watch a movie. And she said it was that some guys who had been to prison already had told her that it was the most accurate depiction in any movie they'd seen of what prison was like. It was called Animal Factory, which I think was the name of the book that it was based on. I'm not sure. Steve Buscemi played in the movie. He also directed it. But it starred Edward Furlong as this kid who gets locked up for marijuana charges and ultimately is sent away to a pretty nasty facility where an older prisoner who basically runs the joint kind of takes him under his wing. I remember watching Animal Factory, being about the same age as Furlong is in the film, and just getting drawn in. I hadn't gone to trial yet, so the future was still really uncertain. I was innocent, but that never matters in court. And what I saw on screen could therefore be what I had to look forward to. And let me tell you, it was ugly. Without giving anything away, there's all the usual stuff you expect to see in a prison movie. There's violence, extortion, rape, but there's something about the gritty way that it's all filmed, plus what Susan told us about it being true to life. It terrified me. Skip ahead a year, and the trial was behind me. I was locked in a cell at Crossroads Correctional Center, about an hour's drive from my home in Kansas City. Animal Factory was about the furthest thing from my mind. I was living it. Crossroads was newer and less squalid than the stone and steel prison that Furlong's character was sent to, but, well, everything else was there. I didn't have some benevolent mentor looking out for me. I felt like I'd been thrown to the wolves. What happened to me never got as bad as it did in the movie, but the fear was always there. I had trouble sleeping. I spent every day watching my back, the whole deal. And I can say that even though prison may have changed, or that it's different from one facility to the next, one city to another, the people are still who they are. The culture is what the culture is. Animal Factory hit it dead on. Other depictions of prison in media, not so much. Probably the one that gets talked about the most is The Shawshank Redemption. It is very Hollywood. The plot, what happens to Andy Dufresne and what he does in response, that is some serious myth-making. But actually, there's a lot in the way that the relationships we see in that movie play out that rings true. The interactions, the different interactions between the Shawshank staff and prisoners are a lot like the interactions that I see here every day. Some people are consistently cruel, while other people are consistently kind. Some people pick and choose who to be one or the other with and damn the rest. And, of course, because we're human, some people bounce around between the two extremes depending on the circumstances. But the original question, let's back up now, was, is it hard to watch movies about prison? It's annoying. I mean, to start with, most of the prison situations you see dramatized on screen involve people wearing orange jumpsuits. In my experience, and maybe it's different in other states or in federal facilities, never been, can't say, but the only people who wear orange jumpsuits in prison are the ones being temporarily housed in diagnostic facilities or being transported, as in on a bus or in a van or in the back of a Ford Crown Victoria. Jail is another matter. Most jails in America that issue uniforms to their population, they hand out orange jumpsuits. In fact, it's such a common practice that an art student I read about did a project where he wore an orange jumpsuit he bought off of Amazon every day going to class. The local police made him officially notify them of exactly where he planned to be and when he planned to be there if he was going to be wearing the jumpsuit, because they knew they were going to get barraged with calls about an escapee. In the interview that I read, the student described the whole project as a miserable experience because of the public fear and scorn that came at him just because he wore an orange jumpsuit. It didn't even say jail on it. That's how deeply ingrained the public consciousness, or in the public consciousness, the idea of an orange jumpsuit is. Anyway, those scenes of chow halls full of lifers sitting elbow to elbow at long tables, everybody in orange, not a thing. That didn't stop the creators of Sons of Anarchy, a TV series about a motorcycle gang, from showing a prison with orange uniforms. In real life, long-term prisoners usually wear blue or tan. In Missouri, we get to wear gray, which frankly I prefer, but that high-visibility jumpsuit is generally reserved for prisoners who need a close eye kept on them. The more serious that the show or movie is trying to be, the higher my expectations are that its writers, directors, and crew are going to put in the work to make it believable. The average viewer is not going to know or care necessarily if what they're watching accurately depicts the reality of prison, but neither are prisons like isolated backwaters as they were at one time. I mean, I've got a tablet computer, for crying out loud, and so does every other inmate in Missouri. The facility that I'm in right now, we've got cable hookups in every cell with almost 80 channels to choose from. We see representations of prison in media all the time, and it's just staggering how much these representations get wrong. To be clear, I don't watch much TV, so whatever currently popular show or movie might address prison life, I probably haven't seen it, and I probably won't see it. It's not that I actively avoid watching stuff that depicts prison. I just try not to watch anything that I suspect is going to be a waste of time that I could spend doing something more enjoyable, enlightening, or meaningful. most media seems intended to kill time, and I just don't need that hostility. I see enough of that without turning on my TV. That's it for A Mind Unconstrained this week. I'm Byron Case. Thanks for listening. If you liked what you heard here today, head over to amindunconstrained.substack.com and subscribe to get a new post in your inbox every Wednesday. You can also leave your own questions in comments on the various platforms, but Substack is probably the best place to leave your questions. We'll see it most quickly there. So until next time, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you be at ease.
The caller has hung up.